Welcome to the Totally Awesome Fishing Show. I thought I'd put something a little bit different up, a different introduction, no rock music, just a little bit of nice background sound to soothe the troubled soul. Enjoy. So people, I'm down here on the beach. I've got a competition going on in my own little brain. It's beach rods there, which are bass and flounder rods, both Coniflex, versus the beach rods versus the carp rods. I'm going to give it a go because the sea is down, the sea is flat, they're big tides, spring tides, but as you can see it's pretty flat. The wind is offshore, it's been offshore for a long time and will be for another day or so I think, then it's going easterlies. The reel I've got here is a Nomura 5500, means nothing, it's a reel, it's just a reel with braid on. That's got braid and both braid, double braids. And I've got on here plain bomb. I've got two grip leads on those to hold them out with the tide. I'm going to try this plain bomb. I've got little spinner blades there, see them? Right on top because they do get some big play sometimes down here on the south coast. And this one here, you see that has got a little bead and a sequin on the top there. So it's a question of throwing out. I've no idea whether this lead, this plain bomb is going to hold out there. I'm pretty sure. Look at that setting, what a setting. There we go, and whizzo. Well, one thing for sure, the carp rod's cast fine. I think I'd probably cast straight over my other line. I'm on worms only, guys. I'm not using big baits at all. I'm not going to bother with the big baits. It's just a little afternoon session. I might have to stay until dusk. High water's 1:30ish. So it's all a bit of fun for the guys who watch us around the world. It is beach rods, salt water on the right versus freshwater on the left. Let's get this other freshwater one out. Oh, they are at a huge disadvantage. I've never fished this particular section of the beach where I am now. Normally I would go to the same areas. I thought I'd try somewhere else. I was going to go down there a bit where there's a bit more tide, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I see about 6 or 8 rods already down there. So being a weekend there, presumably the same as me, thinking it's worth getting out while this weather's good. I mean, look guys, sometimes when it's windy it is better, no question of that. It's not great conditions, flat calm like this. the tide, the size of the tide, the spring tide's in the fisherman's favour because it's a movement there. I'll come towards the end of the island here to get a bit of current flow. God, I love these rings so much. Oh my God, I can actually get through them. There's fly rod rings and match rod, oh my goodness, it takes me half the day to thread up a match rod. And then you start fishing with a float, wonder why the float's dragging. You know, float fishing down the river. The tip ring on this carp rod is bigger than the butt ring on my match rod. I love it. There you are, done. I feel it only fair to use the smaller hook as I can, because I'm only looking to catch anything. Flatfish, dabs. Doubt I'll get a flounder. We used to get loads of them down here years ago in the winter. All changed now, but you never know. The occasional place. Quite a short rig body on this. I'll just show it to you. You can see that's quite a short. There's a swivel. I put leads on this one, swivels on that one. 1, 2, 3. I think they call this one the silly rig. It's not silly when it catches a fish, so. The other thing I stopped doing, seems a bit daft sea fishing, is it's neatness, I suppose, but you do have tag ends after tying knots. Like this. Bit of spit, bit of teeth tugging, pulls down. I'll just leave it. I mean, look, I've got a fishing line all over the place. Does that look any different to the fishing line? In fact, it's smaller. Little sequins there, just little sequins on the hooks. And I'll try a plain bomb on this one as well. It's a vein bomb. Just so beginners of beach fishing know. See, there's a vein bomb and it's a longish tail. That's supposed to stabilise it in flight, going through the air. And they say that when you retrieve these, it planes up off the bottom. I'm on a beach, so it should be fine, I shouldn't lose any gear, I hope. I don't know what that is, 4 ounces. Let's get the bait up. All ragworm. For a change, they're quite decent ragworm, look guys. Quite decent worms. So, the other thing you can do, if you've got dry hooks, a bit of rust on there, whatever, put a bit of spit on the shank like that, and you'll find the worm slides over easier. What you can do if you're not casting a long way is just not go through the end of the worm, which I would normally do if I was blasting out. You can go and thread the worm up, pop it over the eye. This is really only if you're lobbing out sort of 50, 60 yards. And if you see that, I've got a bit of movement just here on the head and a bit of movement on the tail, see? The two. So you've got movement at both ends. It might just attract a fish to grab it. Tips, tips, tips. So just wet the hook. Just go in about ½ an inch from the head of the worm and bring it out a little bit, leaving a little bit of tail showing. If you're going to do big hard casting, you're going to blast it off, so the tail will snap off, so you've wasted it effectively. And there's a few huge worms in there, so just coming in now. Hopefully you can get to see this. Beautiful blue sky. I was down here with a wife and daughter yesterday walking along. It was freezing, it was bitter. It's about 3 degrees up today, the sun I guess. So, I even bought the ham white rag. I'm going to aim for that chimet over there. Now, if you're fishing with these carp rods, there's no reason why you can't just go beach fishing with them. You don't need braid, you can have mono, because I guess a lot of carp anglers don't use or aren't allowed to use braid on carp waters. You can still use mono. Beach fishing, they're probably on average of 15 pounds, I would guess. Now I've got braid on top of mono there, see the black mono underneath? I've obviously topped that off with braid. Makes sure your drag's loose, so if you're a carp angler or a pike angler, you get, say on the south coast I'm speaking, you get an offshore wind, basically anywhere. It's flat calm, you'll get a bit of extra casting distance and you'll be able to get away with your carp rods, no problem at all. Say 3 ounces or so is all you need. You can use grip leads, plain bombs, If you're only going relatively close in, you can use even, you know, a couple of ounces. Just use your carp leads as well. If you're on an open beach, and at least you're fishing, because you might have somewhere, a carp lake, you want to go fishing, you can't because it's frozen. Well, go and buy 10 pounds worth of worms or something and give it a go. Beautiful clear blue sky up there. It's coming that direction, so sort of north-northeast, north-northwest. I think it's going northeast that way, and then it's going easterly, and that'd be very nasty. So that's why I've come, guys. I've come because it is offshore. It's a one fish wonder if I get one. I might have to wait till dusk. High tide's at 1:30 and it is indeed about that now. So that won't come up any more there. If anything, I'm going to have to follow the tide down. Low tide generally is about that triangular state you can see out there. Right, baits through. I can do no more, give them half an hour. And then I think I'm going to grab some grub. Well boys, no bites yet. I've talked to a guy down the next groin. He came up and been here before me by since midday, I suppose. Nothing. 2 of them fishing there, and somebody passed them. He's been here even earlier, and he's had nothing. So there's about 10 rods, 12 rods for no bites. I've had worms actually chewed on a couple of them, but I'm just hanging on and hoping at darkness some fish will come in because the tide's going down, so it's getting like worse conditions really. But I'm just banking on one fish coming, hopefully. 2 would be nice as it gets dark, but it's getting very cold. The only thing I'm getting at the moment, the only bite I'm getting is frostbite. It's definitely below freezing now, so I made sure I covered the worms over, because many a time I've been fishing and had worms die on me because they're frozen solid. Just leave them with the paper open. And once I froze, it was 11 degrees below freezing I was fishing in, and the worms froze in the paper to the beach, to the stones, solid. That's the truth. But even then I think I'm still catching the odd fish. Another hour. I think I've got to wait another hour. Sun's going down. Lovely flat sea. I just hope I can cast out far enough when it's dark to reach a decent bit of water out there. Well, people, you can see by the sun setting behind me, well, the sun has long gone. It's nearly dark. This is a low lux camera, so you can't really tell what it's like. No bites. It is absolutely neck and neck. It's 50-50. The rod's on the right. The saltwater boys have caught nothing, but the guys on the left, the freshwater ones, have caught nothing. So at the moment it's a draw. But one of the tide has dropped hugely. You can see, look, it's dropped hugely down there. What I did notice, I thought, you don't sort of realise how close those houses are with global warming and rising sea heights and temperatures. I mean, look, they've already put over there. You can see that in the dark. I'll try and zoom in for you. Look, you see, they put all the rock sea defences in there. They've got all the groins, but those houses are actually up and over below the high water tide line, I reckon. So they haven't got much farther to go before they're absolutely, totally, well, they've got their own personal swimming pool, haven't they? So that's a high water where the sand meets the shingle. And if I pull back from there, you can see the tide has dropped quite a bit here. No good for me. It's going to get harder. I'm just hoping that darkness brings the chance of a fish to salvage it. It's nearly absolutely dark. You can't see it with this camera. It's brilliant for low light levels, but I have got the floodlight as well. Fingers crossed, I can save the blank. Fishing, I've had one bite and I'm having a cook up on the beach. Potatoes, turn that down a little bit. I was going to have some beans, but I knocked the frying pan over, and that's not good news, is it? So some potatoes, I'm going to do those first, and then I'm going to put in there some hot dogs. And I have actually had one bite on this rod here. Struck, felt nothing. Hasn't come back. Saw one other tap on it, nothing. I don't understand it, to be honest. Anyway, I have something to eat first. Forgot to bring the beans, forgot to bring the tongs. But still, chances are I won't die of starvation. This guy's always a bit haphazard during on a flood tide, but it's an ebb tide, so it's going out, so hopefully they'll get washed away. Could be the tastiest blank I've had in a long time. They look like they're done to me, boys. An escapee. That's good. Well, not too many people have a meal like that on the beach with no fish. Well, it's even Stevens at the moment. It's blank and blank. The other guys have all gone. There was about 2 people, 2 miles I'd say, down the beach because it curves so I could see the lights going up and down. They've gone, I think. Might be one guy there, a mile and a half or so away, maybe a mile away. Anyway, no more bites on that right hand rod. Little rattles. I thought the fish was hooked, he wasn't. I've been winding in, stripped hooks. And I can barely see, they're not whiting, they're crabs that are stripping the hooks, but I definitely had a whiting on there. So I fished way past what I thought I was going to fish anyway, guys. It's pitch black out here now. You don't believe me, it is, trust me. It's pitch black out here now. You can even see that he light in the dark there. And there you can see I'm just looking at the rod colors. The other downside is the carp rods don't have the tips painted white. I'll put that back on. They don't have the tips painted white. I can't see them if there was any bites, to be honest. I've just right now got maybe one more cast left of the dribs and drabs of worms. I wonder if it's the worms. Maybe they're farmed worms. They're strange going on the hook. They don't want to pop over the eye of the hook. And they're very sort of orange coloured. I can't say I've noticed before. I like a sort of more of a green in them, like the green which I think are locally dug worms. Look, I'm looking for excuses. Of course I'm looking for excuses. All fishermen are looking for excuses. Naturally, yes. On the 1.5 miles that I can see here, I'm the only idiot left. Still. Only takes one fish to win this competition and save me a bait. If you strip that bait off of one hook, I've got another hook out there, haven't I? I've got extra hooks out there, so see if he does come back. On the other hand, if they're really small pin whiting like this, they could just be nibbling away all the time. I'm never going to hook them, the hook's too big, and they're just shredding the worms. That could be what's shredding the worms. I'm saying they're crabs. But that was a fish, that one. I think I'm going to take a gamble and move. Oh, it could be freshwater going in the lead, guys. Hoping it will come off. Life, there is life there. There's no chance because it was pretty, you'd never believe me otherwise. Guys, I whited. Can you believe it? That's what's nibbling the baits away. Quite small white in there. I just grabbed him in the water. I saw him fall off the hook. So, looks like there is a winner in this competition at the moment. I've got one more cast of worms left. The freshwater guys, the carp guys, the carp rods are in first place. Let's get this guy back. Now, one more last cast. Have one more look at him, honestly. I've only been here 7 hours. It's sort of strange, isn't it, how the sort of fishermen are mildly obsessed with not having a flag. It's like it's the most utterly shameful thing you could actually have, is a blank. Trust me, I've had plenty of blanks. This was quite a close one. I won't say it was almost guaranteed, but it was as close as I've come to a blank for a long time. The beach rods, the regular, the bass and the fan rods, nothing. And during the daylight, I actually could see where I was casting. And there's not much difference. Those carp rods, they're about £3 Tesco. They have no problem at all with a 4-ounce lead. Putting it straight out there. So it's not like one's at a long distance, one's not. They've both got, you know, the same rig, same hooks, everything on them, same bait. It's just, there's hardly any fish about, that's it. That's the problem. I'm going to have to go soon because the only bite I'm getting after this is frostbite. I can see the cloud is breaking a little bit. It's going to be clear sky. Fingers are getting cold now. I've got one there that goes white, which is never good. Don't really need gangrene, do I? I've actually waited a lot longer than I thought I was going to. I've waited till the tide's turned. It's coming in now. I've had to move the tripods back. I've had one tap on the carp rods. So I've like stretched it. I've got no more bait. I think I'm going to call it, guys. So thanks for watching this session. I can't help it if it's no fish, one whiting. So on this particular little session, the freshwater guys have won. The saltwater guys zip out. Really, there should be a return competition. Maybe in warmer temperatures. Guys, oh no. I literally am. There's the scissors in my mouth to pack up. It's the last one. It's a saltwater one. The saltwater guys have come back. It's like penalty shootout. Even Stevens, freshwater. And I'll tell you what, is that a bigger one? I'll tell you what, that might even be a bigger one, but it doesn't matter. As the actress said to the bishop, size doesn't matter. So there we go, guys, one each. This could stay, well, it could stay on if I had more worms. I haven't, but I was quite pleased to get that fish. I'm surprised. Did not even register a bite, people. So 1-1 it finished in the end. It was not 1-0. So even Stevens between the freshwater and the saltwater rods. I still quite fancy those carp rods. I think we're going to have to do this again when there's more fish about. Right, packing up time. Well, that was as close to having a blank as I want to go for some time. No, we can all have a few dry runs, come on. Well guys, this is the ultimate grab trip. I'm on the way home from another fishing trip up the coast, and I thought, look, here's the Bristol Channel, right, here's the Bristol Channel. The tide comes up, 8:30 was high down where I'm fishing down below at St Albans. I thought, that has to start moving, that volume of water has to start going that way before this even moves. So this must be later than down there, because the tide is held up here. It doesn't just all go down like this, does it? It goes down on a slope. That starts running and draws this off. I can see it dropping. I might have an hour and a half here, so I've come way up on the way home. It's on my way home anyway. I just couldn't resist it, and I'm looking at the mark there. I've got 2 baits. I'm going to chuck a third one out and just try and pick one fish off, just one fish. Anything, because this is a big fish spot. They do get big rays here. I did a story for a magazine years ago. They had a big bass. I think it was 8.5 pound. I filmed a guy with a big bass. Still was in a magazine when I used to write for the magazines. Thornback rays here. Dogfish for me. Yeah, I know. The dogfish trophy again. But listen, let's get this last one out because the clock is ticking. In the time it's taken me to tackle up, you can see the difference between the light and the dark on the rocks, how fast it's dropped. It's about a 1.5 hour gamble. That's all it is. On pulley rigs, I've got just a plain bomb on this because you do lose a heck of a lot of gear here. Dropping it goes away onto sand. That's the object of the exercise. So I just got a piece of mackerel there, double hooked. So anything gets hold of it, I should be able to chop. Blimey, this has gone down since, it's going so fast. I might not even have an hour here, I don't know. It could be a one fish, one cast wonder. But I've got to get down to get out, as it were. If I don't get out, I'm going to be in the boulders. Probably one cast, I'd say. I might get here, might get lucky. Only for one fish. Get out there, boy, get out there. Bosh, that's on sand. That's clear there. The reef isn't showing over here yet. I might get lucky. Just look. Sooner or later, I must get a decent fish off the shore. UK shore fishing can be pretty horrific. All I'm going to do is chuck it out and wait. Beautiful. There's a fog bank over there. I tend to burn off, and the wind's coming here, so I know with bad weather coming I won't get the chance. I'm not driving 2.5 hours just for 1 hour's fishing. It's just that I'm driving right past the door. It might just as well be done. It's got to be done, as they say. Who knows? Worst thing I can do, lose 3 sets of gear. But that's worth thinking about. You know what I said about the tide? It all comes up here, fills up, fills up, fills up, stops. Imagine it's stopped there, let's say over there by Hinkley Point, stopped. Then this for 10 miles has to start ebbing. Well, this has to start ebbing before that volume of water can let all this stuff out. So I might just get hour and a half if I'm lucky fishing here. I'm on sand. I wouldn't fish it at high water up here because I probably wouldn't reach the sand. I may not be on the sand now, I'm hoping I am. As is quite a big tide. It's not a full spring tide, it's dropping off of the main springs, but it's going to go out fast. And the problem is, when I get down to low water, I can't fish anymore because it goes onto the mud, it's gone boom, halfway across the wells. So once I start getting it too shallow, I just pack up. But it's something worth thinking about. Once I start to see a bit of reef here in the bay, I'm going to fish it right to the last minute, but I've probably got quite a good bit to go down. I think I've got an hour to an hour and a half here, which is fine. But you can see. But I hate these boulders, they crucify my feet. Absolutely hate them. Now I've got to move all this down there in the 10 minutes it's taken me to get sorted out. Sometimes it's best to go down and move some boulders to make a little flat area. I think I might do that. Sometimes it's easy walking your tripod back because you can slacken the drags off and walk it back and let the line come off slowly. But when you're coming down, especially on these huge horrible boulders, it's a nightmare and you get slack line and it goes in the bottom. So it might pay you, just the way I do it, find somewhere that you can jam them in like that, again with the drag, so it's off the water, and then when you get your tripod set up like I have with this one, you can bring the others up like this. And you can walk them down, balancing like a drunken ballerina. I hate these boulders so badly, my feet hate them as well. I did my foot, I chipped a bone here, up over there. Up to the doctors, up to the hospital, chipped a bone in my foot, and I've still got it actually. 3 years up the road, still not right. Be careful out there. Guys of my age don't need to fall over in this, especially on my own. Trying to phone the police, tell them where you are, you've fallen over, you've broken an arm or a leg, and I said, where are you? I'm on the bass mark, I'm on the bass mark. No, tell a lie, it's actually the smoothhound mark. Where's that, sir? Where is it? I don't know, but we just know it's a smoothhound mark. Right. You can see where I was up there. 40 feet I've dropped in about 15 minutes. Come on, let's see a little tap, just something to tell me some life out there. There's actually a massive, I don't know what that thing is drilling away out there, like an oil platform or something. Who knows, maybe it's linked up with the massive project Hinkley Point there. Made myself a little seat here out of from one flat stone I could find. So at least I can see the rods sideways on, so I see any little taps or bites. Beautiful blue sky. I wonder how many boulders are out here. How many millions, and also how much is their density and weight, their cubic capacity, their area, the volume, all these things. See, I'm bored already. I just need to see that first tap. I'm sort of hopeful. I am sort of hopeful. I lost a good fish here once over there. There was some fairly bad language occurred in there. I think it was a nice bass I had come off the hook. Got it nearly all the way in. I was pretty pleased after nearly breaking my ankle for about 4 hours there and get a fish at the end. And then not get the fish at the end, if you know what I mean. I've got some prawns in the car. Ordinarily, what I don't understand is I could go 400 yards off there in one of the charter boats and be catching fish on prawns. I come off the shore and I don't do quite so well with them. Not quite sure why. But I'm using mackerel, which I caught myself, froze down quickly, individually wrapped them with cling film so they don't get freezer burn. So it's only a month old, so they're relatively fresh. But the reason I'm using mackerel is because there's a chance that a ray could, you know, if you're going to catch, I'm going to say blondes and small eyes, you generally want sand eel, worm, sand eel and worm combo. For thornbacks, they tend to like mackerel. Unfortunately, dogfish also like mackerel. Conger like mackerel, I have no problem with congers. Bass definitely like mackerel. So I'm sort of restricting myself. If I fired out some small worms there, ragworm or lugworm, no doubt I'll get some small fish. But I'm trying to catch something decent, a cane. And I feel mackerel is away. There's nobody about, nobody walking, nothing, zero. So quiet, unbelievable. It's like I'm the only person left on the planet. Is that a bad thing? All that fishing I can do. Well, just lucked out. Found a set of gear there, look, a nice vein. I haven't seen that type of vein, it's like a planing one or something. Hooks are all shiny, I think this was lost in the last couple of days. And a nice lead. So, no fish, but provisionally at the moment, one up. Well, looking at the amount of silt here, I think I'm down to one cast. Well, nothing on the old mackerel head, so I'm going to whiz it out again. If I don't break a leg first. What a place this is, eh? What a place. Right, I think this is the sand belt, I think is just there, so I'm not going to get much longer here. That's definitely on the sand now because I've dropped it. I think I'll give it half an hour and that'll be no water left at all. Worth a shout. Listen, I could sit in a traffic queue or I can spend an hour and a half here. It's a sort of a no-brainer. There's always a chance, always. Just walking around looking for more leads, no more bites. Down to the last sort of 15-20 minutes. Amazing how that stream you can see just sparkling in the water up there. And if I put the mic and the camera down closer, there's an entire sort of river running down here, somewhere in between these stones. I'm standing on top of a stream or small river. I can't even see where it comes out back there. That's weird, isn't it? You'd think you had to find it underneath. I'm going to discover water. I can't see it. It's got to be quite a way down there. All interesting stuff. I'm normally beachcombing, but I draw the line at this lot. It is almost a spring-like day at the wrong time of year. Gratefully accepted, even if there's no fish biting, and there is no fish biting. Well, you'll doubtless have gathered by the position I'm in. I'm caught between a rock and a hard place. Look at it. I don't know how I'm laying down, but my feet are killing me. No fish, guys. I'm just 5 minutes from winding in. Oh, come on. I can see you at the back there. Yeah, just there, laughing, because I've had a blank. Hey, listen, at least you keep it real on the Totally Awesome Fishing Show. I'm not a superhero that's terrified to put on Facebook, I've had a blank, terrified to put up a film, I've had a blank. I have blank, same as everybody else. You can't win them all. Anyway, just going to cheer myself up now. I've always wanted to catch a big bass off the shore. I mean a really big bass, say. Let's say 12 pounds. But for that, you need generally a good bait. Here's Tony Kirrage to give you his tip on how he rigs up frozen crab.
Okay, Graeme, this is a bit of frozen crab that I froze in the winter, and I quite often use it for bass. I find fresh better, obviously, but somehow we've got to use something. So this is how I put it on the hook. I've got some fine elastic cotton here, as you can see. Buy that in any shop for about £1.50. Good stuff. The way I put it on is I basically would come through this side bit there, bring it to the top. It's not crucial how you put it on, it's just a question of getting it on that hook nice, and when you've got small crab you go through the leg sockets and everything, but with this kind of bait for a big fish you just want to get it on there and mount it. Give it plenty of cotton. A lot of people don't put enough cotton on, so See the juice coming out of it, even though it's frozen? It's pouring out, isn't it, just as I'm putting it on here.
It's like barbecue sauce.
Yeah, it's lovely stuff, and you can see the juice coming out on this table. And this is basically, just make it look quite pretty. Try not to mask the hook too much, like I said to you on the early video. Just keep it all nice and compact, almost like a sausage, look, if you can see here.
You can see the juice coming out.
Look at the juice coming out. I mean, if
the
you
bass
was a
and any fish is going to
bass,
smell that.
Well, even I could eat it if I was a bass. It's absolutely beautiful. Seal it off a couple of times, couple of knots, nice and tight. That's probably about the finished product. That looks really good, you've got to admit. You're not going to not want to eat that, are you?
Not if you're a fish.
Now, what I tend to do is, on this spare hook at the top, which is your extra one for hooking, I'll bring that down and I'll probably just twist it 2 or 3 times round there.
Just to lock it?
Yeah, the best way to do it is with tubing, but it's quite simple, this. Sometimes I hook it just into the edge there, sometimes, just to keep it neat, but it does tend to rip the crab if you're not careful.
Yeah.
So, and then I don't know why I do this really, but I often put a couple of legs or something like that.
A tip, like a tip?
Yeah, just, I'm going to do it neatly, sorry, I've done that a bit of a mess, but almost like the old Muppet Chef, ain't I, yeah? Just thread a couple of little legs on the line, perhaps cover the hook, I don't know. Don't have to, just gives it a nice presentation. And basically that's the finished product, really.
So big bait for a big bass then, really?
Yeah, and of course, like I was saying to you earlier on, when the bass comes in for it, you've got plenty of hooking power there. You've got 2 hooks, quite neatly, you know,
rigged up.
Job done, really.
And you fire that out on a clip down rig with a clip, yeah?
Yeah, or you can even drop it over the side, because it's just a cracking bait, you know, and you'll find that it's easy to cast. You can clip it down on this pennel rig, like I said, on this pulley pennel. It'll go a nice way if you want to chuck it. Clip it on there. Main line will go on the top here, as you can see. It's awesome, totally awesome.
So you've got it, Tony. You've arrived. Yeah. You have arrived.
But that's spot on. I mean, there's no reason a bass ain't got to eat that.
Yeah. Good big bait.
Cracking bait, yeah. And it'll even catch anything, you know. It's just basically a bass bait, cod in the winter maybe, but you could catch anything on that.
Well, as you can see, there's obviously every chance of having a blank when you're sea fishing in the UK off the beach. It's pretty tough out there. And of course, freshwater fishing, oh, that's way easier, isn't it? Much, much easier. All the fish are stocked in the one place, aren't they? You couldn't possibly blank there, could you? Well, could you? Well, guys, finished all my jobs. I'll come down to Fish Farm Cat Lake. Just going to give it, I think it is, let's check it. I've got about 4 hours. 4 hours. I'm just coming on the off chance of catching something. It's very, very windy. There's another guy here, gentleman there. He's been there all night and all day. He's had 5 fish, not huge ones, he said, but you know, he got done by some big ones. And there's another guy I think had one over there. So I'm kind of late to the party, but you know what catfish is like. You can throw out, you can catch straight away. You can sit there for a week, and if they're not biting, they're not biting. I'm going to give it a go. I think I'll have to put my brolly up here. I've got the corner swim, which I've never fished before, which is right in here. So I've got one down there. I've got some floating crust out for whatever comes up. Put some ground bait along this margin. Sort of one in the middle there, one over in a notch over there. Just got to sit there and give it a go, haven't you? So my bait here is big cube of luncheon meat, like, well, not a huge cube of luncheon meat, 2 what I'm going to call quarter sections, 1 sort of half section dropped in here, and a load of ground bait left over from another fishing session I had, just regular ground bait. It might attract small fish, but I think I'm going to have to put a brolly here somewhere because it's going to be really pretty windy. Well, I've got the brolly up, guys, as you can see. Unfortunately, halfway through getting the brolly up, number 2 goes off. Slow. I thought, to be honest, it might have been weed in the line. It's very, very slow. That's the one on the margins over there, and that little sort of notch or cut out bit in the rushes. So I threw a load of ground bait as well. Wound down, felt the fish, but there's a big belly in the line. We'd moved. So I hit into the belly of the line more than the fish, had him hooked on for 10 seconds I suppose, just getting tight to him, kick, 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 boom, he came off. So at least I know they're taking lunch of meat, but it could be the only take I get today, tonight, this afternoon. Annoying, but listen, that's fishing, isn't it? And I'm free lining, I haven't got any treble A shot, nothing, so they don't feel anything. I'm straight on, I'm not on a bait one, I'm straight onto the reel. That's why I'm sitting right by the rods. I can get to them, bang, hit and hold. Food bag. Smith, food bag. Well, as we say at the Totally Awesome Fishing Show, you've got to be in it to win it. I was in it, but I certainly didn't win it. At least you know we keep it real here on TA Fishing. Anyway, I thought, hang on, the fisheries are all going to hopefully open up. Fingers crossed in the UK, subject to change, rules, regulations, from this awful lockdown we've been in, and some of the guys are going to be allowed to go out fishing. Fine. But what's cooking down at Diva Springs made me think, I better pop down there, it's only down the road from me, I'll go and see what's going. They got some big fish going in, and of course, wait for this people, those fish have been left and left and left with no anglers fishing for them. So they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger in the stock ponds. So you fishermen there are hopefully going to have a ball the whole of the next 3 or 4 months or however long we're going fishing for. Check it out. Jamie there is on the fishery team. He's going to give us a little insight into it because a lot of people watch our fishing shows who have no idea that the trout are actually grown on in stock ponds and transferred and transported to put into a bigger fishing environment, which the anglers then pay tickets to and go and try and catch, and yum yum, they can eat them. Let's listen to Jamie, it's pretty interesting. I tell you what, they've got some big fish down there. You fly fishermen better get your rods ready.
So this is where we keep our fish food here at Diva. This can hold about 8 tonnes at once. We normally try and keep it topped up because you never know what the shipment's going to be like for fish food. You never want to run out of fish food. The pellet we use is a high oil, high protein fat kind of pellet. Much different to what you see on the carp side. The carp side would be more of a pale beige colour, whereas this is more of a reddy oily colour. If you left it in the sun, it would create a really thick orange oil, which is known as the good stuff in the trout fishing industry. We've got through, so far this year, we've got through about 7 tonnes of fish food, and obviously fish food isn't cheap compared to cattle food, chicken food. Fish food is up there, one of the most expensive foods you can get. So you're looking at, on average, depending on availability, a bag of fish food is £35–40. And obviously if you're feeding numerous ponds, you're going to get through quite a few bags a day. So fish food is quite an expensive part of the fishery, or the running of the fishery. It's obviously not something you want to waste. So hence why we have a feed ratio chart. So obviously you take into consideration the size of the fish, the temperature of the water, and also other factors that might involve in that. And obviously you can feed the fish the exact amount they need, hopefully no wastage. So we've been closed now, we're in lockdown, we've been closed since the beginning of January, and we've still had to feed our fish as normal. You know, the minute we stop feeding the fish, they're not going to grow. So we've fed the fish non-stop from the beginning of January, and we'll continue to feed the fish as normal. So on site at the moment at Diva, we have rainbow trout, brown trout, again, probably to the same size. We also have some smaller brown trout, about £3. We're hoping to grow on to get to this size. We normally get them in a bit bigger, but we thought we'd try it out, mixing the browns in with the rainbows in the stock pond, to hopefully get the weight up. Spartic trout, which is a mix between an Arctic char and a brook cross. They're really nice fish, plenty of them on site. Biggest we've had so far is just over £11. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get one a bit bigger. Blue trout, we've got some blue trout on site, you know, a blue rainbow effectively. We've got some of them ready to go in, hopefully in the next year, possibly next winter. We've got a few tigers on site, you know, not loads of them because, you know, they're quite hard to get hold of. Yeah, so here at Diva, we're all about the big fish. Some of the fish in the ponds will be coming up to 4 or 5 years old. And obviously for every year after that you keep it on, it's a massive risk. So we could have a fish that's, you know, 25 pounds in the pond today, and we could go back to it a week later and it'll be dead. Then another fish on the other hand, you know, it'll be in the pond at 25 pounds. It'll last another 3 years, but it's just the risk you got to take to grow the big fish. Because without the risk, you wouldn't have big fish. So that's, you know, that's one of the risks we've got to take at Diva. And big fish don't come cheap, and they're not easily replaced. So us at Diva are really looking forward to having the anglers back. You know, we've missed a lot of the regulars and also the new faces. We love seeing the new faces here at Diva. So we're welcoming everyone back next Monday, so the 29th of March. There's going to be some nice fish in the lake for you guys, as normal, amongst some big uns. So hopefully you'll be lucky enough to have one, or maybe two. So if you're looking to come to Diva, I would recommend bringing a big net, a big set of scales, because some of the fish will go to £20, and also a very strong rod, and hold on tight.
I know there's guys out there that are going to say, oh, they're not very big, they're not that big, are they? Oh yeah, but I haven't shown you the really, really, really big ones yet that are going into the lakes and are in those stock ponds. Boy oh boy, they are big fish. So good luck to anybody going. I think it starts next Monday. Of course, we know it's topical. Come Tuesday, it'll be out of date, but you guys can still know that the fishery is open and what's being stocked in the water is gobsmacking. We'll see you next time, guys. Thanks for watching this totally awesome fishing show. My goodness, I did leave it late to put this film up, but I tacked this trout piece on the end for you, as you've seen. Even more fish to come, and look out for next week as well. Hit the subscribe button, both channels, and enjoy this closeout. Guys, Stuart's got a rainbow here. You really need to take a look at this one. All you fly fishermen, and anybody who's not fly fishing, you might think of taking it out. This is probably one of the biggest I've seen for a couple of years. Wow, the stomach on that thing. That's got to be close to 20, Stuart?
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah, definitely.
Around the 22s, I'd have thought,
Yeah,
is he?
it's wide as well.
Watch by the depth.
Monster.
That is a big mouth. Look at the size of the head on that one.
Still growing. Look at the silver scales, like the dorsal.
Here.
Yeah.
Is that a sign there, Graeme?
Yeah, all like fresh scale growth. Yeah. Excuse me.
That's a big fish, isn't it? Yeah.
Keep them there, then go.
That's going in this lake, yeah?
It's all going well, eh?
Willow, yeah.
Look at that for a brown.
That's a monster fish somebody's going to hook.
That's going to make someone's lifetime.
That is fish of a lifetime.
Fish of a lifetime.
Getting nice and tight, Mike, because that's an enormous brownie. Look.
Yeah, it's got
Mike's done his bits. It'll be age now.
That's a...
That's all right, Mike. That's all right.
That's lovely on that brown.
Brownie's gone.
Yeah.
Colours, aren't they?
That is a big fish.
Jesus.
50 pounds there, Stuart.
You know?
That was a good return.